Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Boy and Girl Thing. I'm Kit Smith, and I'm the author of the book, Let's Meet Our Match, Your Complete Guide to Success in the World of Internet Dating. And on my left, as always, tagging along, here she is.
Hi, I'm Cece Schatz, and I'm the Doyen. I always say it wrong. Relationship building. Actually, I take you through divorce, which is one of the most horrible times in your life, through transition of dating and building relationships. So we try to have a little bit of fun with it because it is such a tough subject, but we do take you to the other side and we make you very happy and we get you to live your best life. And that's what it's all about. So tonight we are going to have a lot of fun on our show.
I hope so, because we have a really wonderful guest. By the way, I think I'm going to bring you a cue card.
I know. I don't know why. I think I get nervous. I say it all the time, but then when you and I do the show together, I get nervous about it.
I saw you looking in the mirror, brushing your hair, going, Doyen.
So it's a French word, actually, and it means, being professional, being good at what you do, and that's what it means. It's kind of a mother type of.
And it means you're at the top.
Yes,
you're the best.
I am at the top, and I am at the best. I just can't.
Yeah.
I just can't say that I am. But we are going to have Amy Lyle on tonight, and she actually has this most fabulous book.
Yes.
And it's like a book of failure. So we're going to do the intro for her. We're having a little bit. Hey, Janice, it's nice to see you on board.
Hi, Janice.
Hi, guys. Oh, we have quite a lot of people here tonight, so it's nice to see that. So I'm going to let you do the intro, and we're having trouble bringing her aboard with her picture. So we're going to try to see what we can do to that and try to improve that here. But let's go ahead with the intro for her so that we can. I'm sorry, I had to kind of move my screen all around because we were doing it. So I'll let you do the bio, read her bio for us.
Well, Amy Lyle is a comedy writer. She's based in Atlanta and has put her divorce pain and dating disasters to good use. She wrote a book titled The Amy Vinegar Kimmis Lyle Book of Failures. She thought she would sell a few copies to friends and family, but the book has been a bestseller for over a year on Amazon and sits next to Trevor Noah, David Sedaris, Tina Fey, and Amy Schumer.
Wow.
That's an all-star cast.
Yeah, absolutely.
The book opens with, I have been married for 20 years. Not to the same people, but 20 years nonetheless. Amy's life took an unexpected turn after writing the book. She is now a regular on a popular morning show, Atlanta and Company, and completed her first starring movie role in the Sam Jurgens short, The Interviewers, and has her own screenplay about blending families called Pound Fake Mom in development with executive producer Suzanne Gerba. I think we can all relate to her life motto, I am not a failure. I am just having a little bit of trouble right now. And who can't say that?
I know. And okay, what is number sign? It's called hashtag.
Pound sign.
It's pound sign. It's hashtag fake mom. So I got you on one, baby.
Okay.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to try to bring Amy on. Let's see if we're going to be able to do it here. And I'm not quite sure. Amy, are you with us?
I am here. Hello from Atlanta.
It's great having you.
Yeah.
We're not seeing your picture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to.
I see my picture. I mean, I don't see me, but I see a picture that looks just like me.
Okay, well, that is a picture I brought up so that we could see you, but I'm not sure if the audience can hear you. So that's why I want to make sure we're going to bring you. So I'm going to bring it all on board so we have all three of us together. Let's see if we can do this.
Amy, do you by any chance got the Braves game on?
I do not have the Braves game on. What's happening?
You're playing my Phillies in a crucial 4-game series going into the weekend. So I'm
that right?
I'm giving up watching the ball game tonight to be here with you.
Thank you. You know, my husband's office, he can see the Brave Stadium from his office.
I just wish we could get you.
Yeah, for some reason we can't seem to get your picture up, but that's okay because we have a picture of you up. So
Okay. And people
Okay,
can
so-
hear me.
okay,
Hello.
they're saying that they can hear you, so that's great. Hey, Bill, thanks for joining us tonight, and thank you so much for
Thanks
letting
for letting us
know.
know, Bill.
Yeah, that's really important to us. Well, I tell you what, let's kick off the show. Absolutely. Cheers, everyone. All right, we're going to go in and talk about your book. So tell us a little bit about your journey, Amy, and why did you write such a book about failures?
Well, I wrote a book about failures. It started oddly with a big failure. I had written a screenplay, the screenplay that you guys are referring to, hashtag fake mom, and under the mentorship of a guy that used to work for Disney. And when I was finished, he said, okay, it's time to take this to an entertainment attorney. You can call my entertainment attorney. So he introduced us by email, and then I called him. And when I called him, this Hollywood attorney, he said, I don't care who you are. I don't care how funny you are. I'm not going to represent you. You're nobody. You don't have any money and you don't know anyone. And I was like, what? And he said, I'm going to give you some free advice. You need to write a book or a blog. And I said, he said, you need to get on the map. You need to be searchable. If they search Amy Lyle, your name better come up on a couple pages. And I said, well, what am I supposed to write a book about? And he said, write what you know. And he hung up, and literally instantly my mind went to, I have had a lot of failures. And so I started, writing it that day, thinking, trying to get a lot of press. I had this giant book launch with a plastic surgeon emceeing. We gave away vampire facials. I'm not making this up. We gave away vaginal rejuvenation treatments. Those were prizes. We had over 333 women. We gave out 200 prizes. Yeah, I'm not making that up. So, I gave 10% of the, money to charity. And so I was able to get a lot of press. And so that was exciting. But then what was more exciting was that the book sold really well and it's been selling really well, which is so fun. But it's, the story has a happy ending because now I'm making the film, but it's like every mortifying event in your life is in the book.
And I think we've covered a lot right here on the show.
No question about it.
We still sometimes have these funny moments, which are not so funny, but yeah.
But they're funny later.
Yeah, we have them. But, it is so cool because I was watching some of your videos and you are a very funny lady. I tell you.
Thank you.
It comes naturally. And what better gift to give someone is laughter. I think that is just so awesome. And so I think your book is really going to hit the bedside stand, because in my line of work where sadness kind of surrounds us, we need something that's going to make us laugh, something that's going to get us out.
Something to lighten the moment. Yeah,
absolutely. So your good read is definitely on our list. So we want to thank you so much for bringing that forward to us. But your little videos, I posted a couple of them on our sites. They're hilarious.
Thank you.
I like the yoga one was hilarious with where they ended up being dogs.
Yes. We were imitating goat yoga. Yes.
Yeah.
I started doing those to build the attendance of the book launch. And you can't, you guys are authors too. So you can't just put buy my book, come to my book launch. That's not fun. Nobody likes that. So I started doing these funny videos to promote people in the community that had given me prizes for the book launch. And then I would do a funny video with them. And sometimes they would get 10,000 hits. It was crazy. So that was really fun. I need to do more videos because people really like videos, short little ones.
Well, and it makes us laugh. It gets us out of our mundane life that we live in sometimes, and it makes us chuckle.
And sometimes it shows us that the things that we're taking so seriously and dragging us down, when they're presented in a different way, and maybe in a comedic way, gee, that's not really all that bad after all. Why am I stressing out over that?
Yeah, and my favorite comedians are comedians that usually have very tragic childhoods. Their parents are crazy. Their situation was really bad. But given enough time, when they imitate that, think of Kevin Hart or I'm just the Will Ferrell or Eddie Murphy comes to mind. Like they had these really rich, dynamic, but sometimes tragic events in their childhood. But they're so funny now. Given enough time, they're really funny.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Sometimes when you look back on things, I'll share with you. I had a show one time, and I don't think it's up anymore. It used to be up. It's hilarious, and I'm there, on a very serious subject and everything. And all of a sudden, the guy was inside the studio, and he was off screen, and he knocked the only light I had down, and I was like in the dark. All you could see, like, it was just kind of a shadow of my face still. And it was like, and I said, "Oh, we're having some technical problems." He's trying to fumble around and get the light back up, but it was hilarious, And
right, so you could have freaked out, but you didn't. You just rolled with it.
Luckily, I know my subject, so I just kept talking, but I kept kind of laughing, while I was doing it too, because it was really funny. But yeah, you have to take some of those really difficult times and try to turn them around and make them a little bit more uplifting. Can you share any of the little stories that are within your book a little bit without sharing all of it?
Oh goodness, sure. And you had mentioned dating, so I pulled together a whole list so we can talk about. I have a lot of dating fails in my book. And a lot of my dating fails.
You want us to help you write an addendum?
were me thinking that men were interested in me, but they weren't. Like, I have a story in there where I was at the gym. My mom's like, go to the gym. And I didn't want to go to the gym, but I also didn't have cable. And so they had cable at the gym, so I could go to the gym and walk like 1 mile an hour on the treadmill and watch Sex and the City reruns. So I went to the gym and I get like a shake. I'm not even kidding you. I get like this 3,000 calorie chocolate protein shake. That's like, for hard people working out hardcore. And I drink my chocolate shake and, walk slowly on the treadmill. And, my mom's like, go to the gym. That's where the men are. I'm like, oh my gosh, whatever. So I go to the gym and, one time I was at the gym and like all these men are coming by and checking me out. And I'd been going to the gym for a couple of weeks and I was like, my mom was right. Like I must really be looking good. All these men are checking me out. And so I boosted up the treadmill to like, 3 miles an hour in a very slow jog. And then I couldn't catch my breath. So the men were still coming by and I was like, what's happening? So I go to the restroom to get a drink because that's where the water fountain is. And I look in the mirror and here my sports bra had like twisted up under my left boob. One boob was like way higher than the other boob. And I had like a white burnout shirt on that's really thin. And I was sweaty. And so my nipple, it was like a wet t-shirt contest, but only one boob. And I was like, no one told me like, hey lady, you can see your left tit. So anyway, no one was really interested in me in the gym. They just were looking at my boob.
Your one boob.
One time I was in my car and there was a super hot guy behind me and he like beeped and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's super hot. And it was like during the middle of the day. It wasn't night or anything. And I'm like, putting my lipstick on and he pulls up to me and he's kind of like motioning to me. And so we stop side by side at the stop sign, at the stoplight. And I'm literally in my mind, I'm like, naming our children. Like I've got this whole relationship, right, going on my head. And he rolls down the window and I roll down the window. I kind of flip my hair around. I'm like, hi. And he's like, hey, your belt is like hanging out of the car. Your belt's dragging down the highway. And I was like, oh, okay. He was not interested in me.
Oh, that happens too. That's funny because when you say that you're naming your children and all that, so often they do that on dates. They first go out with them and they're so hot and heavy and then it just falls flat.
It does. I have a bad picker. I do. I have a bad picker. And so when I met my husband, my second husband, I didn't pick him out. Somebody picked him out for me and it was much better. I do not have a good picker. I don't have a good history of boyfriends or anything.
So are you funny when you were on a date? Were you funny? Did you?
Sure.
Yeah. So you are just naturally funny then.
Yeah, and some men don't like that. Some men do not like a woman that can hold court. They don't like that. But my husband's like a really confident guy, with a large penis. So he's fine if I hold court.
Okay, that's good. Good to know. You're funny. So I can
We
imagine.
can still talk about dating fields.
I could just imagine you on a date. You would be. It would be a little difficult. What do you think?
I think
You're speechless. This is the first time I've ever seen him speechless.
no, she's rolling right along here. If I were to have met her,
Yeah.
I would have liked her
Yeah.
right away because
She's hot.
Well, okay, I wasn't supposed to say that, but yes, I would have been attracted to you. I don't know.
She's so nice.
I can't say without being in person whether there would have been chemistry, but the thing that I like is someone, even with your history, and let's be honest, in our age group, we're all about history.
Yeah.
And
sometimes we have too much.
Yeah,
history.
and we let it go with us. But the fact that you can make light of so many different things and so many different aspects, there's no doubt we would have had it. I would have had. I don't know about you, but I would have had a good time. Okay, and just enjoyed, what you would have to say about certain things. And there are people that are able to take events in our lives and make light of them, and make them not as serious as we've allowed them to become. Okay.
Well, true. And when we hear it from someone like Amy, then we think,
and then you go, and then you go, you know what? She made me laugh about that.
Yeah.
And I took that so seriously for all these years, whatever it may have been. And I would have found that to be a very admirable quality. And I would have been like, yeah. And believe it or not, while I'm saying this, my personality is probably more like hers than I know, because I tend to be the person that goes, oh, come on, that's not all that bad.
Yeah.
That's,
you're very easygoing.
Yeah. And I'm someone that just rolls right along and okay, next, And so you and I would have gotten along very well. There's no question about that.
I'm not easygoing, dating in a dating relationship. I'm not easygoing at all. I mean, I'm easygoing kind of with my husband, but I had a long history of dating the wrong men. And I would date men that were unobtainable. I would date men that thought they were better than me. And I was like, I'm going to win them over. And then invariably, I dated a lot of narcissistic men, and they make you feel really special at first, and then they turn on you. And so, I really, there was a lot of tears, a lot of praying, a lot of crying, for the long time, because I wasn't attracted to the right type of person. And, I have, and now, like you say, I can laugh about it now. At the time, it wasn't funny. Like in college, I was dating this guy that I should have known, on our very first date, he said, oh, I love the combination of blue eyes and dark hair. And I was like, oh, thanks. And he said, you look like my ex-girlfriend. She had, okay. So I was like, that was a red flag, right? Okay. So he whips out a picture of her and shows me. I was like, okay, so he's clearly still interested in his ex-girlfriend. And he was, and we dated for over a year, and he was in love with her the whole time. And it came to an end when I was like in his house. It was like midnight. I'm getting ice cream out of the refrigerator, and his ex-girlfriend had come in town, and she crawled through the doggy door.
Wow.
Of the house. And she kind of like, she was drunk and she couldn't fit. It was like, let's say it was a doggy door for like a small beagle, and she was like a Great Dane size, she couldn't fit through the doggy door. So she kind of got like one shoulder in there and her head, and she's like trying to muscle her way in. Her hair's a mess. And you know what? He dropped, instead of being like, what the hell are you doing? He dropped to the floor and he's like, baby, you sweet, he like he didn't see that that was a problem, that she's like coming through the doggy door. And so this is the funniest part of the story. So I open the door and she's kind of stuck in there and I have to jostle it. Like imagine me like jostling a door and her head's going back and forth. So finally she comes out and I grab my car keys and that was it. But it took that moment to see this person that I was in love with. He was obviously in love with someone else.
Yeah.
And guess what happened as soon as I broke up with him? Then he was in love with me because he had the same issue I had. He only wanted something that was unobtainable.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's good that you were able to see that, you know.
Well,
even though
I lived a year in misery. You know, I was just trying to win him over. And there was no winning him over. He was in love with someone else. It was awful. But, you know, now I can laugh about it, but it wasn't funny at the time.
Well, it sounded like he was in love with the chase. He liked the chase.
Yeah. And frankly, so was I, right? I was in love with the chase with him, and he was in love with the chase with this other girl. And then I dated a really fun guy, but he was obsessed with golf. Like he would rather play golf than do anything. And I mean anything. And, you know, I dated him for 2 years and I was always second fiddle to golf. And if it was a nice day, he wanted to play golf. And finally I was like, you know what? There's nothing wrong with him that he wants to play golf, but that doesn't work for me. And so then I just told him that. I was like, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just going to have to find somebody that either wants to play golf or they don't mind being alone Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Like, I kind of think I can find someone that would want to hang out with me on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or a little bit. And so, but it took a long time, you know? I think we're scared of change. He did not. He did not give golf up. Oh, something happened. Are you guys there?
We disappeared.
Oh, you went away for a second.
Yes, you got her all excited. We just dropped down. What's up
I
with
was
that?
like, hello?
Where are they? Yeah, when you said that, I thought, oh, wow, where are
I have a question for you, Amy.
Okay, hit.
We mainly on this particular show, of all the shows that Cece does, we mainly focus on online dating. So,
Oh my gosh, I have so many funny stories.
I'm with all these wonderful experiences you've had, I'm kind of curious to hear what your online dating experiences have been.
Okay, I don't have a lot of online dating experiences, but people have shared with me theirs, and I have a new book coming out soon that's all about other people's failures. It's called Book of Failures Friends Edition, and people told me the funniest online dating failures. Like one lady, I think this is funny. I don't know if you guys will think this is funny. Okay, so this one lady had not dated for like 3 years, and finally her family and friends are like, look, go on Christian Mingle or, you know, whatever, Fish or whatever, and find it. So she communicated with this person. They had a lot in common. They'd both been divorced for a long time. They loved documentaries. Like they had a lot in common. They had kids and all this stuff. So they matched up. So they decided to go out, you know, after communicating for well over a month. You know, she felt like she knew him. So she showed up, and he was in the restaurant before she was. He was in the bar, and he turned around and he had an eye patch. And she's, you know, he didn't have an eye patch in any of the pictures that he had sent. And she's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? You know, what happened? You hurt yourself. And he's like, no, I'm just trying to be edgy. And she's like, okay. So she's like, that's kind of funny, whatever. Okay, take it off. So he took it off, and then she's like, they had a great time. And so they went out again, and he had like a carpal tunnel thing on his wrist. And she's like, oh my gosh, what happened? And he's like, nothing. And she's like, that's not funny. Stop doing that. Like, why do you keep doing stuff? And she's the final draw was when he had like a full on air cast on his leg. She's like, I'm done. I just think that's a very peculiar bit of a man.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's very strange. I think it's something a little bit off with him. I'll share with you a funny story that I did when I was dating. I had gotten so busy, and you could use it in your book if you want. I'd gotten so busy, and I was talking to a guy online, and I was talking to several of them online. So So, you get so many of them. And so then I agreed to meet him at this festival that we were having, a local festival. So I said, okay, I would go. And so I talked my girlfriend into kind of going there with me because I wasn't sure about him and stuff. So I get there and I'm all, rushed as I usually am doing stuff. Well, I can't remember his name. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So we get there and I said to her, I said, I can't remember his name. And she goes, what does he look like? I said, I can't remember. I was talking to so many of them. I can't remember which one it is. And she goes, well, look around. Maybe you'll see him. And so we were looking around. There were so many people. And so we were looking all around. Finally, he noticed me. And so I came up there and I couldn't introduce him to her because I couldn't remember his name. And so we were talking a little bit. And so it kind of, it went a little bit okay, but not so good. And then, because I still didn't know his name throughout the whole time we were together. I'm trying to think, who is he? And so anyhow, so I'm very uneasy about it. And this is very beginning of me dating. And so then we decide to walk out to go somewhere else. And as we go out, I don't know why I did it. I pointed to a car and I said, look at that awful looking car, that square car. It's like one of those cars. I said, I don't know who would drive a car like that. They must be extremely boring to have such square cars.
Oh, and guess what?
Oh my gosh.
I looked at him and his face dropped, and then he looks at me and he goes, that's my car.
No, that's terrible.
Yeah, that was the end of the day.
Oh my gosh, that's an awesome story. I had a woman share with me that she met a guy out, somewhere at a coffee shop or something, and she saw him drive away. He had like a normal car, like a normal person car, a nice car, and they went to dinner. He picked her up for dinner in like a white van, like a white construction company van, and she's like, oh, maybe it's a work van. And then they go to like this palatial beach property, and she's like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. And she goes to the fridge to like get something. He's like, don't touch anything. And then later she finds out like none of it was his. Like he was a contractor, and that was like somebody he was contracting on their home, and they were out of town. He was like entertaining women in this house.
No.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You meet all kinds.
Yeah, it is. It's an adventure.
Yeah.
It is. And the dating, the online profiles, what I think is so odd, my friend Kathleen, she was married for 20 years, and her husband was using their 401k money to hire hookers in Vegas. But anyway, she was online for like 1 minute, and it was amazing, like the profiles, or someone like you and someone, and you like them, and you start communicating. Well, there's a little bit of reverb. And then they just straight up ask you for I don't want any hair on your body, or I want anal sex, or and it's like, excuse me, we don't even know each other, and they're making all these demands. It's just really weird to me.
Oh yeah, that's not good. Yeah, that's you need to walk swiftly away.
Yes, she did. She met her future husband at the Whole Foods.
Yeah, at Whole Foods.
Yeah, that's where she met her second husband. She was single for several years. She went back to art school. She was just like, I'm going to focus on me. And she met this super nice guy in Whole Foods, like looking for the frozen peas. I mean, I don't know, just something random.
I have said that it's a good place to go and meet people. We have a Whole Foods place here, and are you still there, Amy? Hello. Oh, there we go. I think we're having trouble with this tonight for some reason. Amy, are you there?
I am. It dropped.
Okay.
Yeah, we lost you for a minute there, but I've often said that because we have a Whole Foods store here, and it has everything. It has wine where you can get, a bottle chilled instantly, and all of this kind of stuff. And so it has a lot of different things that you can do. So you can kind of hang out there for a while. And I think I have a friend that goes there. She hangs out and she meets people all the time. Yeah.
I don't blame her. If I was single, I would hang out. Like, I like dogs, and I like people that like dogs. And so I mean, I would look around. I would make sure that I shop a long time in the dog food store, and then, or, and the dog park or wherever dog lovers hang out. Cause you know what I mean? Like usually dog lovers are pretty nice people. Or,
Right.
when I was single, I became an actor at my church, and it was really fun. And I didn't date anyone from there, but still you're like meeting interesting people that are interested in the same things that you are. And so even if you don't date someone, maybe you'll be introduced to someone.
Yeah, but in essence, that's reverse. That's not really how it works.
What are you saying?
Well, when the conventional or traditional way that we've always met someone, and I've said this before on other shows, is.
Are you getting serious on us?
Well, I'll be serious, and then Amy can say something funny. Okay.
That's a lot of pressure.
Okay. We have always met people by what our eyes tell us first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's in person. Well, again, okay, you said Whole Foods. Well, exchanging glances walking up the grocery aisle.
Oh, sure.
All right. But we see the person in person first.
Right.
And there's that immediate reaction or no reaction. No reaction, you just keep on shopping. And what we have today with online dating is we have all of this information about someone with pictures, with the idea of being attracted to that.
Right.
And then when we meet them in person, our animal instincts and everything else take over. And no matter what we read in the profile, poof, nothing. Okay, you don't.
Well, or it could be the opposite. It could be.
Well, no,
it could be over the top.
Yeah, that's the intention.
Yeah.
You would hope for that. That's what you're hoping for. That it becomes that little volcanic eruption.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But chances are that it doesn't work out that way. And so what the online dating sites represent, as much as anything else, is almost like a convenience. Let me see who I can find today.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's almost a little bit too much, because I think it's almost like a smorgasbord, and so it's too easy for them. And
and there's the other aspect to it is, and I was thinking about this coming here tonight, and us doing this. You can almost take one of the big dating websites and compare it to Amazon or eBay. Okay, I'm looking for some new shirts. Okay, I'll go on Amazon, and I like Izod. Izod is like my favorite brand of shirts.
Right.
We go to Izod. Yes, we go to Izod on Amazon, and I have 14 different colors to pick from. I just go click, click, click. I'll take this color, this color, this color, and now all I have to do is wait for delivery. And that's the kind of perception you can have about an online dating site. Well, I like water sports. I like the beach. I like to hear live music. I love going to a live show. Boom, 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 boom. I type that in, and now all I have to do is wait for delivery. Some guy's going to walk up to my door and go, "Are you the lady that likes live shows?" And am I right, Amy?
Yes, it's actually really scary. One of my best friends is a really, really nice looking guy, and he's a big shot in a big pharmaceutical company, makes a lot of money. He's nice looking, and we're just friends. We've never dated. And he shared with me, and I don't know if any of your guests have ever shared this. Is a man, but he said that he traveled during the week because he was a pharmaceutical guy, visiting his territories, his other reps, that he would have a date Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and 90% of the women would have sex with him on the first date. 90%. He would have a date Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And he said, he gave me this story. One time he went out on a date with a woman, and they had a nice time. They had sex. He wasn't interested in going out with her again. because one of the reasons was because she did have sex with him on the first date, right? So they have sex, and he mentions, no, they're at a restaurant, and she sees on his card when they carded him his license that his birthday is like coming up that week, right? And she's like, "Oh, what are we going to do for your birthday?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm out of town, all week working." So they had gone on one date. They did have sex. He did not communicate with her during the week when he was traveling. He comes home, his entire lawn and front door is decorated with like happy birthday from this poor woman that went on one date with him and thought he had sex with me. He must like me. And it was so sad. And I'm like, well, quit having sex with him. And he's like, well, if they're going to offer it, I'm not going to turn it down. But we as women, we want a relationship. And you can tell women that again and again and again. But like normally it doesn't work out if you have sex with someone that quickly, because women, we just, that ties our emotions to the person.
Yes, women attach more to it.
Yeah.
Definitely attached.
Yeah. And I'm not telling anyone what to do. I'm just saying, like, if you took a big study of women and successful dates and non-successful and what men like and what men, who they end up marrying, like don't play hard to get, like be a little hard to get.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all. You
can disagree with me.
No, she makes a very valid point. But what I will say on behalf of us men, okay, is that, and again, I have to keep referencing the fact of our age group. So how many women are now out, single, available, because one of the things that died in their relationship was the sex. Okay, it just died. It isn't working anymore. So we get out into the dating world, and women want to recapture the magic.
Right.
Okay, and I can sit here tonight and tell you that I've been taken for a couple of test drives. Okay.
Only a couple, huh?
Yeah. Oh well, I'm just, I'm not bragging. I'm not boasting.
But you know what? Okay, I do agree with what y'all are saying, but I also feel that
there's more to it.
I feel with women, it's not necessarily the sexual act that they're craving. They're craving that connection with someone.
Right. And if there's a confident woman that's really sexually aggressive or whatever, and she can have sex with someone and not get attached to them, I'm not making any judgment. I'm not saying a woman needs to behave different than a man. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, for me personally, and for a lot of people that I know, women, if you have sex with someone, it escalates your emotions falsely. And you will not believe this. You're going to think I'm lying. I dated my second husband. We dated for a year, and we did not have sex before we got married.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? And then I told him, I was like, that throws me off, and it creates this different thing. And it, I just want to, I'm not saying we didn't fool around. I'm just saying we didn't,
Well, wait a minute. What are you saying?
It was like high school. It was a lot of making out.
Come on, you had me on the edge of my seat there. I was waiting for the big punchline.
Yeah, but sometimes that is really awesome. That that like you were in high school, that feeling that you have, and that how you were just kind of crazy when you were younger and more carefree. Not necessarily that you were sexually active, but you were more carefree.
I'm not recommending that. I'm not telling anyone what to do. It just was odd. It's kind of, people are like, what?
Yeah. Do you have any other funny stories about like dating, meeting for the first time, anything like that in your book?
Oh my gosh. So many stories.
Oh, come on, give us a good one.
The pressure. I'm trying to think of like first impressions. I remember in college one time, I went out with someone, and like, it was just their car broke down, and then we drove my car, and then he forgot his wallet. And then it was just like this, it was just a fiasco. Like it was awful. The whole thing was awful. And he knew it was awful, and I knew it was awful. And then he's like, okay, good night. And I was like, good night. And I was like, thank goodness this is over. And he's like, wait a minute, we're not going to make love. And I'm like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I mean, it wasn't just the car and the wallet. It was everything. Like, we had nothing in common. We had, it was awful. It was the worst date ever. And we pretty much argued the whole date. And then it was just, that cracks me up. He's like, we're not going to make love. I'm like, no, we're not. No, not tonight.
No, not going to. I'll share another funny story that I had. Is my girlfriend wanted me to go to a party, this really huge party, and it was all executives, all courthouse people, all dressed to the hilt. So she said, get dressed up and come to this party. It's a happy hour type of thing. So when I walk in, it's a great big room, and it's kind of down. You have to go down a couple steps. Although I didn't realize it was 2 steps that you had to go down. It was 1 step. So I took 1 step, and then I fell. And as I fell, this guy, he was so good looking. I mean, he was just unbelievable handsome, reached for me to help me. And I grabbed his shirt, and I ripped his shirt right off his back.
Oh my gosh, aggressive.
What a great way to make a first impression.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm holding his shirt, and I'm feeling like everybody's looking around me. I'm some sort of whack job. But
and they wouldn't be wrong.
No, but he did ask me out, so it was pretty cool. But yeah,
so it was successful. You almost, broke your leg, but it's fine.
Yeah, it really almost. It fell right off my heel.
Did he on the second date? Did he ask you, "Aren't you going to grab my shirt"?
No, we went out one time, and then it just didn't go anywhere from there. But yeah, and I was young. I was very young.
Let me guess. There was no chemistry.
No, there was.
Oh my gosh! I went on a date once with my best friend Sharon set me up on a date because I'd been divorced like over a year, and she's like, just go on a date. And I was like, who am I going to date? And she said, my husband's got this guy that he's in marketing, and he plays tennis, and he's handsome. I was like, okay. So we did a double date. So I ride with him. I ride with my friend Sharon and her husband, and we pull around to this great Thai restaurant, and there he is, and he's waving wildly. I mean, like a second grader, like when their mom's leaving, for camp, like waving wildly with this goofy smile. And she's like, oh my God, Scott, you set her up with someone that hasn't been laid for 20 years or, something like that. Like, so we go, and I'm like, whatever, it's fine. Whatever. So we go in, and he's very nice person, very smart and everything. He has one drink at this Thai restaurant. He starts going into like full on Rodney Dangerfield jokes, right? At dinner, and like not doing them accurately. And he kept doing like the voice, and you don't give me no respect. I get no respect. And he was saying it to the waiters, and the waiters are, from their English is a second language. They're like, I'm sorry, sir. Do you want the manager? I mean, it was so embarrassing. It was so bad. And then after that, they're like, you want to go dancing? And my friend Sharon's like, if he's a great dancer, you can save this date. If he's a great dancer, let's just give him a chance. And then he danced. Imagine Rodney Dangerfield dancing. Like, that's how he danced, like, biting the lip. And oh my gosh, it was the longest date of my life.
Oh gosh.
Very nice person. I don't know if he was just nervous or Gentlemen, do not tell Rodney Dangerfield jokes if you don't know the jokes at dinner. Don't do that.
Don't tell any jokes if you don't know the joke.
Tell any jokes if you don't know the joke.
That's right.
And be nice to the wait staff. I think it says a lot about a person if they're not nice to wait staff. It says a lot about a person's character. Like, if you can't be nice to a wait staff, somebody who's making a living serving you, I think that's no good. That's probably not a very nice person.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think it's how people behave to other people, if they're like that in public, if they're not treating them nicely in public, can you imagine what they'll be like in private?
Oh, I read that. Yeah. I read that in profiles all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That, not specifically those words, but words to the effect how you interact with the waitress or the cashier, or, it will determine a lot of what that person's going to think of you. Okay. And of course they all have different ways of saying it, but they want to watch you how you behave.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
We have 4 kids, and we make all of them are in this service industry, working their way through college, waiters or,
Yeah.
whatever, but they work with the public. And I think it gives them, and they've always been very kind to wait staff because we're kind to wait staff, but I think it gives them a new perspective when you were in their shoes. You don't know what that person's been through in the day. And I mean, why don't you try to lift them up a little bit? Like, I don't know.
Those kind of jobs aren't a lot of fun.
No, absolutely not. It's very hard work. And
Yeah. No
a lot
question.
of them are my Facebook friends. So I want to
Oh my gosh, I was a waiter in
and
college.
they always become my friends on Facebook. So I love that.
I was a waiter in college for the cinema and draft. I don't know if you guys have a cinema and draft there, but you go and you get dinner and a movie, and it was the best summer job. It was, you could make like $100 a night and you get to watch the movies for free, and people, bought hamburgers and beer and they tipped you out. But it was a hard job because you'd have, imagine 200 people in a movie theater and you had a section, but it was still fun. But I'll never forget that experience. I mean, it was a good experience to have that.
That's great. So Amy, tell us what's coming up for you. Now, I know we read that you're having like a screenplay and all. So tell us a little bit more about what you're doing. I know that you are on in a show in Atlanta. So
yes, I'm so excited. I sent anyone that's writing books and you're interested of how to get press, you call the producer, right? Or you send a nice email to Cece and say, hey, maybe your audience would want to talk to me. But I sent an email to the producer just saying who I was and, thought their audience might get a kick out of my book. And so they had me on the show for 3 minutes and pitching, a straight up pitch for the book. And then they asked me to stay towards the end of the show where they have kind of like a round table called Real Talk. And they do different topics about parenting. It's usually 4 women, sometimes a gentleman, but different topics about never politics, but mainly parenting and marriage and relationships. And I really had a great time on it. And then they called me back and asked me to come on again. And then they called me back. And so I've been on there 25 times. So now I'm kind of a regular on the show, and they're so nice. They're so kind to me, and I'm really enjoying it. And then from that, I got, you won't believe, it's so fun. My little acting gig, was at church. So normally I'm like a donkey or Moses, you know what I mean? Like, and this guy asked me to be in his film. I'm like, that I'm an actor for children, like, I'm a donkey or Moses. And he's like, that's fine. And so I read for it and got the part. So that's hitting the film festivals any second. It's called The Interviewers, and it's a funny comedic movie short. And then, as you mentioned, a year after writing the book, that same lawyer that said, I'm not going to represent you is representing me. And I have a movie deal, and I'm so excited. It shoots this time next year in Atlanta and New York City.
Oh, exciting. Yeah. We're so happy for you.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Thank you. And I never expected any of that. If you have listeners that you're like going towards a dream, I think you have to enjoy every tiny step of it. Every tiny step. Like if you're only interested in making a certain amount of money, you're only interested in being a New York Times bestseller, it's going to be a hard road. But if you really enjoy meeting people and you enjoy the journey, it could bring you new things that you never thought you could ever get into, like including a lot of funny dating stories that people have shared with me that I have in my new book. So funny.
Well, that is wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the show with us.
I can't wait till the next time.
Yeah,
Thank you for inviting me. I would love to come back if I'm welcome to come back.
Absolutely, welcome you.
Yeah.
I mean, you're now on the top of the guest list. We can't wait to have you on again.
So everyone, you can get her book right there on Amazon.com, and it's The Book of Failures by Amy Lyle. So just look it up. It's very easy. I just put her name, Amy Lyle, comes right up, and so you can go ahead and buy it right there. And believe me, I think it'll have you in stitches the whole time you're reading it. So it'll be fun. It's a fun book.
And she's been great. She's a fun person. So how could she have not written a fun book?
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to have to close out the show. I want to thank you guys for listening. We'll be right back here next week, same time, same place. We have another great guest with us, so I hope that you will join us. We're going to have a great time.
And we will have Amy back with us.
Yes, so this is Cece, and I've also, with going solo with Cece, we combine the shows together and the boy and girl thing. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye.